Well, hello again, and welcome back to Mom's Night Out Online. As usual, I'm super excited about this night, and I am honored to be able to create this platform and create this opportunity for moms because I get it. For so many years, a Mom's Night Out offered each month, but it didn't necessarily fit with what was going on in our world at the time. There was bound to be somebody who was sick, or my hubby and I had a conflicted schedule, or I didn't have anyone to watch the kids, or sometimes I just didn't feel like leaving the house. Like I'd love to chat it up with some friends, but I didn't want to have to go anywhere to do it. And this creates the opportunity for you to do just that. So if you have a little one that's not feeling well, or perhaps, with the weather that's going on around the country right now, you just couldn't even go to a mom's night out right now. I don't know if we've got anybody in a snowy area that's on live tonight, but, getting out in the snow and digging around and dealing with ice and frigid temperatures just doesn't sound like my idea of a fun night out. But if you can just click a button, come in here online, always happy to see you, always happy to have you here. So tonight we're going to be talking about spring cleaning from the inside out. And for those of you who haven't met me, I want to introduce myself. My name is Susan C., and I am a mentor for moms. And what does that mean? That just means that I am a mom who enjoys the opportunity to speak into the lives of other moms. And I get to do that sometimes, from stages to groups to organizations to organizations that have formed to support moms. And then there's those times when I get to sit down one-on-one with a mom, give her my full attention, and give her resources to help her take the next steps with no judgment attached, with no concern for me sharing it. Is there ever a time when you want to talk out an issue, but all your friends have the same issue, so they don't really have the solution? Or there's all the extra added layers of the relationships in your family, and maybe you just want to have a third party who could listen to it, give you some sound advice, and some sound advice that's undergirded with faith, because that's a big part of who I am and what I'm about, and a safe place for you to come and unload your burdens and leave them there and not be judged about them. Well, that's what I do. So I love being here with you ladies. I love to connect with you online. So if you haven't visited yet, you can always go to susanc.com, and that's how it's spelled there on the screen. I'd love for you to check out what's going on there. I've got some audios up that you can listen to, and I welcome any questions that you want to email to me. You can email me there at susan@susanc.com, and I love picking a few of those questions, and I'll answer those in audio form and put them up online. And, I won't say your name. Oh, my goodness, I won't do that. I won't out you, but I'll just say, here's a question I got from a mom, and I'll answer it. And sometimes I've found that other moms had the same question, and maybe they just couldn't think of how to word it or what they wanted to say exactly, but hearing someone else's question is helpful. So if you have some questions for me, I welcome you to email me, reach out to me. If you'd like to have some one-on-one time with me, absolutely, email me. Let's set up an appointment. I'll tell you what that looks like. I'll tell you how I structure that and how you can get a single session or multiple sessions, any of that. If I can serve you, I'd be happy to do that. And then always you can catch me on Facebook, and I'm putting up pictures. I put up a fun video, though the video cracked me up, so go check out the video I put up today. I think the question I asked is, have you ever had one of those days? And when you see the video, let's see if you can relate to what's going on there. So one of the biggest thing that's on my heart is I want to help moms have that deeper connection with God and not have the feeling that, in the busyness and the hurry and the scurry of motherhood, that they lose the most important connection and relationship that refuels them and really gives them the foundation they need to be the outstanding mother that God desires. But also, I want to help you to be more intentional with your family. I think all too often there's so much advice out there for us as moms on what we should do and how we should do it and how we should look doing it. And it can be really hard to filter through all that information in the midst of our own internal negative chatter that's going on about what we can't do and what we're not doing good enough and what we could be doing or should be doing better. And if I can help you have a deeper connection with God, trusting Him more, leaning on Him more, and also be more intentional with your family and how you believe God is leading you to lead your family, then that's the work I want to do. That's what I feel called to do. Because I recognize that as moms, we face many a challenge. We face all kinds of uphill battles, both internal and external. And I want to be there to support you through that. I want to help you take that next step and feel supported in it and feel like it's the right way to go. But tonight is just all about encouraging you. It's all about, I hope you have something fun to drink by you. And I've just got some water here in case my throat gets dry. But I hope you've got this is how I picture you guys right now, okay? That you've got something nice to drink. And maybe you're in some nice, cozy, comfy pajamas. And you've got your feet up. And you're just ready for a good time and ready to have someone just speak an encouraging word in your ear and remind you that it's all worth it. So that's what tonight is all about. It's all about just lifting you up. And I see Heidi is saying she is in bed with her heating blanket on. Hello. I have another friend who loves a heating blanket. I'm not sure if she's on. I don't see her yet. But, yeah, I get that. So I'm glad that you're in that position, Heidi, because that's exactly what I want, that you're just enjoying the evening. So tonight is all about getting ready for spring cleaning time. Now, see, doesn't that feel encouraging already? Aren't you like, oh, yeah, that's so encouraging, Susan, that we are going to clean up. Fun. Let's see if anybody is catching that. I don't see anything happen in the chat box, but I know you guys are grinning ear to ear. I know you are. You're like, that just fires me up. I'm so encouraged and excited, and I just can't wait for cleaning and spring cleaning. And I'm laughing at that because I don't really mean that. I don't think a lot of us get fired up. I'm sure there's some of us who absolutely love that process. But there are others of us, and that I would put myself in this camp, that the thought of going through this house and spring cleaning and reaching underneath sofas and behind chairs and into closets doesn't exactly get me fired up. I think I could find a couple of other things to do instead, and it might involve a remote and a TV or a laptop and the click of a mouse. But we want to talk about spring cleaning tonight. Oh, I see Elizabeth said she just made decaf coffee and she heated up a scone. And she turned a recliner in the living room to face the corner and not the mess. There you go. There you go. Just turn the chair around. I love that. I really do. I think that is a beautiful move. I've got my back right now to my unmade bed because it's that way again this week. And, yeah, I won't look at it until I climb into it. So we're going to be talking about that tradition every year about spring cleaning. And I would love for you guys right now in the chat box to share some words that come to mind when I say the word spring. When you think about the season of spring, what words come to mind for you to describe what spring is all about? What are some key ideas about spring? What does spring mean? Let's see. Sunny days ahead. Yes. Breathing fresh air. Yes. Heidi is obviously Central Texas. She says blue bonnets, those beautiful flowers. Yes. Donita, new life. Patty, newness. Crystal's got flowers, parks, and bike rides. Love that. Long nature walks and nature pictures. Absolutely. Getting outside with the kids. Yes. I love that. Oh, yes, and the blue bonnets with beautiful flowers, they remind Jerry of her anniversary, which is in March. Very nice. Oh, and Crystal's encouraging. She said, I love that, getting outside with the kids. Yes. So the great thing about each year and about life is just that God's created these different seasons in life. But what I also like is that God is also a God of preparation. So he doesn't just one day, well, sometimes in Texas it feels this way. One day it's like hot and the next day it's freezing. Okay, so that could actually be true. But the truth of it is that there is this gradualness of change. Like you can smell rain in the air sometimes before it actually rains. Or you can sense that the leaves are changing colors before the actual temperatures drop dramatically. And there's this preparation, like there are these signs that say it's time for change. And there's this tradition that we have that once we come out of the winter, our type of hibernation, not full-on bear hibernation, but we've been locked up in our homes and it's been too cold to really be outside, that when we start to open those windows and open those doors and let in those fresh breezes, that we go through this period where we start just cleaning out the house. We start cleaning up things. And I want tonight to be about our pre-work, our preparation for that season that should be coming up. And I didn't want to wait until our March meeting for this because I thought, let's give this preparation its due time. Let's not do it and then it must be done in these 2 weeks because, hello, spring's here. But really giving ourselves that time and that preparation to be able to do it. And what I want to say to you is that the springtime is not just that spring cleaning is not just an act of going through the closets and going underneath the sofa and pulling out the random Lego and the random puzzle piece. That's actually my world right now because we're so into puzzles. Or the random Barbie shoe because I got a house full of girls. It's really something deeper that's going on. And that's what I want us to talk about tonight is the deeper stuff. Because if we can get through the deeper stuff in the heart work, which is our pre-work, then the cleaning is going to come so much easier to us because we've already done the pre-work. We can just walk right into it. Does that sound good? So I have a question. Have you ladies seen the show Hoarders? Anybody seen that show before? Anybody like me been flipping channels and actually catch part of an episode or seen some of the scenes from one of these shows? Susan, you're asking, do you live with me? I know. I live with 7 kiddos, though, so I got all kinds of random things going on. So, yes, you're saying, oh, my gosh. Okay, Susan, truly, my garage, I think, yeah, there's a reason why we don't park in there, and it's not just because I drive a 15-passenger van, okay? It's because no vehicle is getting in that garage. So, yes. When that show comes on, my family can almost tell if I've stumbled upon it because I don't even know what time it comes on, and I just happen to see it. And for some reason, it's like the train wreck moment where I just have to watch it, and I just sit there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm puzzled by it, and it's like I'm horrified at it, yet intrigued all at the same time, and so it's like I'm in this stuck mode. But all of a sudden, when the inevitable scene, when they get to the point where they're cleaning out the house and the hoarder is starting to have a meltdown because they're, like, you're all up in my stuff. Like, I cannot believe you got rid of that stuff and I wanted it. Somewhere in there, every time, I end up, like, throwing back the covers if I'm in the bed, or I end up putting shoes on and they see me, like, going for my scrunchie. I'm pulling my hair up on my head, and I'm all about the business. And I just start picking up stuff as if their stuff on TV is somehow getting thrown in my house. Like, I just suddenly feel the need to clean, and I start going for it. But the thing that happens, and the family's like, just turn the show off. Oh, my goodness, here she comes again. Did somebody slip up and let her watch that show? Like, don't do that. Like Elizabeth, oh, good. It's not just me. I felt like I was having a confession moment. Like, I feel like I should apologize to the kids. Like, sorry, I'll turn the show off. But it really gets to me. It gets under my skin. But when I think about these people, I think that we can watch it, and if we're not careful, we will begin to say that that is a problem that they have. But I believe what they are is just an extreme example of what happens when people have a hard time with breaking the emotional attachment that they have to stuff. And then the consequence is that their stuff now threatens to take their life away. And I don't always just mean their physical, like in a physical death, take their life away, although that can happen, but it takes their living away. It takes away friendships. You know, you hear the stories of family members who haven't seen them in years because they're just held in captivity and bondage to the stuff, and their health is suffering, and their well-being, their peace of mind is no longer in place. And just the home that they're so blessed to have is no longer a blessing to them. Can we all relate to that? That on some level, they have just created this inability to appropriately handle even the smallest of items that come into their lives. And their example is extreme, I give you that. But on some level, I think we all deal with that. I think all of us have a tendency to have an inappropriate attachment to stuff. And that's what needs to be broken. And so I'm hoping that as we enter into this spring season, as this season is upon us, even though if you look out your window right now, and well, if it was sun shining, if you looked out your window, it wouldn't look like spring. You know, it looks kind of dreary and gray, and if you're in the super cold areas, it's snowy and ice, and you think spring's coming, Susan, but it is coming, right? And this is a great time for preparation, because spring is the season of new beginnings. And as I want for you all so much is that as you enter into spring this year, that it is a new beginning for you, and that you take it on with the new lens. It's not simply warmer days and sunshine, and those are really good things, but may it also be something deep inside of you, that as you enter into this season, you've done some work on the inside so that the spring cleaning is just a reflection of what's happened to you on the inside. I wanted to share with you that every clean out must first begin with internal work. So now I want you to share again in the chat box, but this time I want you to share some words that come to mind when I say the word clutter. And I'm going to also check into the chat box here. So Carmela is saying, yes, the inability to move forward. That's good stuff. Susan, stuck, overwhelmed. That's me. Feel like I'm living in a constant state of survival mode. Yes, I get that. And so when Tracy thinks of clutter, she thinks of stress. Yes. The floor in front of my bed, Jerry says. Heidi says anxiety. It equals frustration. Lisa says master closet. There you go. Just take a picture of that, put it in the dictionary. Done. Master closet equals clutter. I get that. I see some other typing going on. Let's see what comes through. Chaos. Yes. Yes, Elizabeth is saying, she's right there with you, Lisa. It's not just your master closet. Yes, feeling trapped, confusion. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All of that is the absolute truth. And so I want us to recognize that, it looks like one of my slides got a little moved here. Let's see. We'll go right here. So I have some things that I think I want to point out about clutter. And when I think about what is clutter anyway, I think first of all, it's a sign of delayed decisions. That along the way, some things came into our lives that required us to make a decision that we delayed. And it's still sitting there waiting for us to make a decision about it. And if we continue to delay this decision, more things continue to come in our life, and we keep creating more and more delay. And I think that's what's modeled when we look at the show Hoarders, then I think that's one of the most painful aspects of that show is that people are now being faced with making all those delayed decisions at one time. And that's overwhelming. So I'm hitting too close to home. So it's a delayed decision. I mean, come on, let's raise our hands. How many of us got a junk drawer in the kitchen? Well, how did it become that? Okay, maybe two. Okay, let me think of my kitchen. I got two junk drawers because it wouldn't fit all the stuff in one. But what is that stuff? It's the, I don't know where I want to put this. I don't really know where this belongs. I'm not sure if I want to keep it, so I'll just put it in the drawer because I don't want it on the counter. Or maybe we've got a countertop or we have a cabinet by the front door that just kind of becomes a catch-all, and it's the stuff that I'll, air quote, deal with later. Okay, I'm not, I'll go through this in a minute. I'll look through this magazine after a while. I'll check out this catalog later, and it just piles and it piles and it piles. So, of course, there's going to be, yes, Lisa, there is sound. If someone could type in there and answer her, that would be awesome, because obviously if I'm answering, she's not going to hear me. Yes, there should be sound. So it's a sign that there is delayed decisions that are happening, and they have accumulated, and we now call them clutter. But really what they're asking of us, if they had voices, we're glad they don't because they would probably drive us bananas. But all of that stuff that now has become clutter is asking for a decision to be made. So I'm going to just pause right here because I really want Lisa to be able to enjoy this. If someone could type up in the chat box for her and tell her to click the settings at the top, and it'll give her a phone number, and she can call in, and she'll be able to hear. I would greatly appreciate that. Click the settings button at the top, and she'll get a phone number, and she can call in and hear. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. Okay, now let's talk about the next piece of what is clutter. It's an emotional tie that has yet to be broken. So with this emotional tie, there's something about the things that are in our world that we have an emotional either attachment to or aversion to, some emotion we don't want to deal with it, right? And once we deal with that emotion, then we can move on. So I have in my room right now a pile of little girl clothes that I'm supposed to go through to determine what still fits, what doesn't fit, so that we can get rid of all the things that don't fit. But I've walked past that pile for a few days now, and I had to ask myself, what's really going on? Well, I can immediately come up with there's one key thing that's going on, and that's that my baby girl is 5. And a few weeks ago, if you saw me post that picture about her, she lost her first tooth. I mean, we are in this place where there's no more diapers and sippy cups and high chairs and toddler beds and all of those things. We're in the season of there's a little girl losing her teeth, and she's starting to lose the chubby cheeks and getting her face is straightening out on me, and she's getting taller and taller by the second. And all of those different things are what goes through my mind. So when I think of getting rid of these little clothes, it's all of that emotion that comes up. Now, I'm not always, that aware. Trust, this is after really spending time alone with God and asking Him, to reveal to me what's happening, helping me to stay aware of what He's doing and what's happening in my heart, that now I can see that connection. But at the time, it just felt like, I'm kind of busy. I'm not going to deal with those clothes today. And lo and behold, they did more laundry. There's more clothes over there for me to go to, and the pile keeps growing, and I just keep walking by it, right? But the truth is that there's an emotional tie of some sort to these items. Now, for my children, when I go into their rooms, they have emotional ties to little bitty pieces of paper with little bitty drawings on it that make no sense to me. But somehow to them, they're important. And when I say, in my declutter mode, because I just watched Hoarders a little too long, hey, look, all of these little pieces of paper, we don't need these, do we? That's how I phrase it. I don't say, do you need these? I said, we don't need these, do we? And they're looking at me with this look of horror, like, what? Absolutely. This one's important, and this one's important, and they start collecting them before I know it. They've got all of them back in their hands, and they're saying, yes, they're important, because somehow there's an emotional tie for them to those little pieces of paper and those tiny little wrappers from a gift they got and all of these different things that I go, but surely we could find a way to let those go. Another thing that clutter is, and ultimately what it's doing, is it's holding you back from being your best. That master closet, that living room underneath the sofa, all of those things that we're allowing ourselves to live in and around, where we see them. We may have gotten to the point where we can walk past them, but we still see them on some level, and we still know it's there. We still know the junk is looming in that garage out there. We just choose to keep the door shut. But it's still there, and I know it on some level. And not dealing with that doesn't do anything to help me be the best that God has for me to be. Oh, I love what Jeanette's saying. We take too much time dusting breakables instead of giving them to someone else. Yes. Well, I think let me adjust how I'm reading that, because I can't hear what you're saying on that. But this is what I'm imagining. Is you're saying that sometimes we can start collecting things, and we just have a collection. We are now a collector, and it takes up a lot of time to manage and care for that collection. And maybe we're at a season in our lives where we can give that away. Sure, I'm not against having a collection. I think it's a cool thing. It's that the collection have you. That's more of what I want us to really look at tonight. I want us to say, have we gotten to a place where we've got things and we're in hoarder mode, meaning that we're no longer making an appropriate attachment to the things that are in our world? So if you can have that appropriate attachment and have cool stuff in your house at the same time, I think that's fantastic. But if we're to the point where instead of loving people, following God, doing what he's called you to do, we're stuck saying, I can't do those things, and we're spending a lot of our time managing a collection, then yes, things are definitely out of order. Jeanette saying, hanging on to an aunt or grandma's china and afraid to use it, so dust it, use it, or lose it. Take a photo of it, and if you're not using it, get it away. I love Jeanette. Jeanette, I'm so glad that you come. I really am. That is good stuff. So we've talked about what is clutter, and we've described it as master closet, and we've described it as some of those other areas in our lives. And we've talked about how it's an emotional attachment. But I want to reinforce the point. Every decision to release must first begin with a release in our hearts. So if we're going to really do the pre-work for our spring cleaning for this year, so that we not only are just getting rid of stuff, but we are allowing that getting rid of stuff to be representative of the cleaning we've done in our hearts. We've broken some emotional attachments to those things. In the scripture, it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us. And I apologize that those words are cut off, but I think that verse is familiar to a lot of us. And I think this image, I thought of how we could all look this way sometimes, and we can slowly but surely start packing things on a cart behind us. And before we know it, we're way down and we're pulling it with the best and all of our effort. And God is saying, Release it. Set it free. Let it go. Give it away. As Jeanette's saying, she's like, give it away. Don't let those things burden you down. Free yourself up to run the race I've called you to. Because I sense that there are several women that are on this call that God is tugging at your heart and calling you to something, and you can't quite see how you could do it. You're like, I don't feel like I have the capacity to do one more thing. Well, let me share my heart with you for a second. God did that very same thing in my life. That's why I can speak to it. When he called me and said, I want you to speak, and I want you to write, and I want you to mentor moms, I thought, okay, I really think this is not the right deal here, because I'm looking at my life, and I got 7 kids already, pretty full world right now. I don't know how I'm supposed to take on one more thing, and that's a pretty big thing. You know, when you think about mentoring other people, that is an up in the game in your life, I'm here to say. But at the same time, God is saying it, and he's sovereign. He knows what he's talking about. But did that mean I needed to let some things go? Yeah. That meant that God had some moments in my life. He had some things in my life that he wanted me to release. I had to release and surrender those to him so that I could be faithful to what he has called me to do. But as long as I held on to what was comfortable and safe and familiar and routine, I was no longer running hard after God. I was now being content and saying I'm serving him in the things that I've done for the past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And God is saying, behold, it's springtime, Susan, and I have a new call and a new pattern that I want you to walk in. I got a new and a new drum, and it's time. And I'm saying, hold on. I don't think that can be right. We're actually doing pretty good over here, God. Let's stick with this. And he's saying, let it go. Release the weight and that sin that is clinging to you so that you can run the race I'm calling you to. Don't stay there. Trust me and follow me. I love it that you guys are with me. I really do. Because at the time, I was like, this cannot be right. And I'm glad he's speaking to you all, too. And let's let this time be an encouragement to one another. You're not alone in this. It is scary as all get up when God says do something new, and you feel like you're barely doing what you have currently in your life. How could you possibly add more? And he's saying, here's the truth. I need willing vessels. I will do the work if you trust me. See, there's a heart release. There's an emotional attachment broken. Because the truth is, it was never us anyway. It was never our work. And the second we created an unhealthy and inappropriate attachment to what we were doing, God said, time for something new, time to raise it up again. Because we were created to depend upon him. We were created to lean our entire weight on him, right? There are ways you can lean on a wall or lean up against someone where you're still mostly supporting your own weight, but you're kind of somewhat leaning on them as creating a physical connection. But God's saying, I don't want you to just kind of bump into me. I want you to full on lean on me. Your total dependence is on me. If I don't have it, nobody has it. You're going to fall off the cliff if I don't catch you. That's the kind of dependence. That's the way that's the posture God wants with us. And see, we want to somewhat trust him. We want to somewhat lean on him. And he's saying, no, put all of it. Put all your weight on me. All of it. It's my work to carry you. It's my pleasure to carry you and to see this work fulfilled in you. I don't even know that I meant to say all that, but man, that was good for me to hear in my ears. So here's a quote from William Morris. He says, "Have nothing in your house that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful." If we standard in our homes, what things do we already know could be released? It's time for them to go. Elizabeth, I'm so glad you put that in there. I needed it too. It was really right on time. I needed to hear that. So I have a phrase that I used for a very long time, and it was, "It'll do." And that phrase came to bite me in the backside many times, because what it really represented when I said that is that I was settling for less than I really wanted. And I kept just saying, well, it'll do. But what I was settling for were things that were starting to drive me crazy. You know, that drawer in the kitchen that won't open right, but it still opens. We can get it open on the third try. You know what I'm saying? Like the closet door that comes off the hinge, and so you have to open it just right. I'm not saying, huge things that cost buku money. I'm saying those things that just day to day we start saying, well, it'll do. I can make do. I can work with it. It'll be okay. But what if we lived in such a place that we only had things in our home that we knew to be useful or believed to be beautiful? I would imagine that "it'll do" phrase would go away. Because, see, I could find the time to fix the drawer if I wasn't running around with continually delaying decisions about other things. If I released those things and didn't have them even on my mind, even if it's on the back of my mind, they're still draining energy, right? I mean, it's kind of like you leave your fridge and all of your appliances plugged up. And though they're not on, they're still pulling energy. If you go outside and you look at your meter, it's still spinning, even though you're like, everything in the house is off. It's still spinning because they're pulling. Well, that's the same effect that clutter has on our psyche, where it's still pulling and draining on us. But as we release that stuff, those emotional attachments that had us even keep that stuff in the first place, we free ourselves up. We start to feel lighter and more energetic. Awesome stuff. I want to check in the chat box and see how you guys are doing, because I see stuff popping up, and I want to look over here and see what's going on. I see Donna. Oh, Donna, hey, girl, you said you're in. You are on time. I'm so glad that you're here. Jeanette said, oh, we have some ugly stuff around here, including my angry face when so much junk. Isn't it amazing how the stuff will cause us to feel so irritated, and then we're upset with the kids, and they don't even get it. Like, they're happy-go-lucky playing in the clutter. They're like, no big deal to them. But we can walk around the corner. Hello, I will just read my own mail right now. I could come out of the room, had a wonderful worship time with the Lord, some good prayer time, come into, because my bedroom is just off the kitchen, come into the kitchen and be ready to lose it. Look at the counters and the floors and the dishes and the pans, and who was supposed to do the kitchen? And on, it's like, all of that moment, I just had that beautiful moment of singing to the Lord about how good he is, and then I lose it as soon as I get in the kitchen. And the kids, I'm sure, are like, my goodness, let's try this again. Go back in your room. More prayer time, Mom. Let's see. Oh, my gosh, yes, I do that too. Whatever. It'll do. Yes, Elizabeth, I get that. Only keep what you love. That means the children get to stay. Susan, you are hilarious. I love that. Oh, gosh. Donita's with it. She said, great analogy. Carmela, that's good and so freeing. Usually things we don't enjoy, all senses, cause a constant irritation and add to our sense of not being enough, adding one more thing to an already too long, never-ending to-do list. So relate. Yes. 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 Okay, glad that you guys can relate on some level. I believe that you guys are probably more composed than I, but I will just put all the dirty laundry out there because my heart is that though I am a mentor, I want to be somebody who's real and relatable. I don't ever want to come across as someone who is perfectly poised and always has a word of truth on her lips. There are moments where I lose it and I have to go back and say I'm sorry and get things right. And there's a reason why, people have said, hey, you guys should have a reality TV show. And I said, oh, goodness, no. Like, that is not a good idea. I look at the family TV shows on there, and some of them, the parents are really quite sweet at all times. And I just don't think my husband and I would make that cut. Like, no, not a good idea. So I have a question for you. Who do you need to forgive? When I say that, and you think of, in light of all of the emotional attachments that we can have to stuff and the delayed decisions, somewhere in there, I'm believing that our hearts are holding on to things that are not always so good. So you see, I gave the example of my daughter is getting older, and that's why I want to get rid of the clothes. But I've got stuff, because I'm a homeschool mom, I've got some curriculum in my life that I purchased and spent good hard-earned dollars, and a lot of them on some books that I never used. And when I look at those, I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling. I have a pit-turning, kind of nauseous feeling like, man, I really shouldn't have spent money on that. And when I walk past those things, I think, you know what, maybe, longest I kept saying, well, maybe next year I'll use them. Maybe next year I'll use them. And maybe it's not curriculum in your house, and maybe there's some other inappropriate attachments of even hurt or guilt or shame that are attached to some things. And it's time to forgive those moments. Like, there's going to be mistakes. We're not going to do all of this right. I mean, think of all the decisions we have to make in a day. We're bound to make some wrong ones. We're bound to make some ones that don't serve our family best. We're bound to make some that are going to cost us more money than maybe we even tried to save. Anybody tried to do that? Where you tried to save money, and somehow you end up paying twice or triple what you should have if you just would have gone another route, but you tried to do 5 different moves because in the end we'll save money and you didn't. So who do you need to forgive? And I agree. I believe, I love Jeanette saying we can be our own worst enemy and have unrealistic expectations of ourselves. And yes, I believe first person we need to forgive is ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves for the mistakes we've made, for the moments when we've lost it, for the lack of decisions we've made, for times when we said we're going to do something and then we didn't do it, when we knew we shouldn't have done one more thing, but we tried it anyway. And we forgive ourselves. The other question is, and what do you need to release? So I'll tell you a little bit about my desire for this time. As you've carved it away from your family, as you put kids down or at least told them, when bedroom doors shut, this is mom's moment. I don't want words in your ears and have you nod and agree. I really want this to be a fruitful time for you. So I'm actually going to pause in my speaking and sharing. And you can either do this in the chat box, or you can do this on a piece of paper that you have near you, if you have a journal, if you have somewhere where you're taking notes. I'd love for you to just take a moment to answer those questions. Who do you need to forgive? Maybe it's not just you. Maybe there's some other people in your life that you have really created an unhealthy memory of your time together, and it's time to offer up forgiveness for that. At least the beginning of forgiveness. To be able to acknowledge that they're a part of you and not in the best way, and you want to forgive them. And I say begin the forgiveness because I do see forgiveness as a journey. It's a process. So just in this moment that we have tonight, it won't be a full-on forgiveness and set free. I believe God can do that, and I wish that he would. May his spirit come. But maybe for you, it's at least saying, hey, I forgive myself. Maybe Elizabeth says, Elizabeth, I forgive you for, and then she just starts writing down the things she wants to forgive herself for. And Susan will say the same, and Jeanette will say the same, and Donita will say the same. I forgive you for. And then what do you need to release? So I'm going to set a timer. And if you all just take these 2 minutes, I'm just going to pause for 2 minutes. And I want you to begin the process of writing these things down. When we're done, if you want to continue that, I welcome you to. But in this moment, we're just going to pause for you to have time to do that. Just over halfway. Another 30 seconds, and we're going to move on. Some of you, you were just getting ramped up, and I encourage you to go back and begin to do this work, begin to break these emotional ties. And I look forward to hearing from you guys because I think as you go to tackle that garage now, or as you go to tackle that master closet or kids' drawers in their rooms and closets, I think that you'll find that you'll have an easier time of it because you've done the most important work, and that's the work that can't be seen. That's the work that's in your heart. Now, I want to go back through the chat box here because you ladies were sharing some things. I see Elizabeth said, I still have a maternity shirt that I've never worn that my mom made me. Oh, yeah, that would definitely have an emotional attachment. And the truth is that it wouldn't even be wrong to keep that as a memory of your mom, especially if your mom's no longer around, but even just that special memory. Because you have an intention and a true purpose it's behind keeping that. It may be something you want to say for your daughter if you have a daughter, or something you want to share with another person. But it's the other part of that where if that becomes something that has you, where you're having to keep all of these different things that your mother ever gave you, and now they're starting to rob you and keep you from God's best. So let's see. It just moved on me, so let me try to scroll back up here. Oh, Jeanette's asking a question. She says, okay, so who is keeping something that their mom or mother-in-law gave you that you never used and you don't like? Yeah. Oh, that's actually above that. I see that. Okay. And Carmel is saying, yes, great conversation. Being able to say, I was wrong, and to keep in mind, et cetera, and then move to change. Yes. So harmful to hold on to hurts and wounds and let the root of bitterness take hold. That's very real. So real, Susan. Good things. Let's see. Heidi is saying, for me, clutter, whether physical or emotional clutter, is a self-reliance idol, and I need to release my desire for control to God and become reliant on Him for all things. Yes, Jerry is saying, release the, I'll do it myself, said the little red hen. I can just hear you saying that too, Jerry. Yes. Yes, that control issue is for real, Heidi. It runs so deep, and it's so true. So let's see, what else did I have here that I wanted to share with you guys? Oh, no, we're actually right on point. I was going to ask for you guys to share, like, what are those things that you believe you want to release? What are those things that are holding on to you? And let's see. And Jerry's saying she's going to sit instead. She's going to ask her children to help. Wow. Like, you are so right on time. That's going to be one of my closing things to say. But in the meantime, I wanted to ask you all, while we have just a couple more minutes here, if you had any questions. Like, did this bring up something for you? You're saying, I don't know that I have an emotional attachment to something, or how do you deal with cleaning up kids' rooms and closets and drawers? And how do you keep the vehicle from looking like a trash dump with 4 wheels on it? Anybody have any questions that you think these ladies, because there's tons of wisdom in the chat box. So if you've got a particular struggle and maybe you just want to say it out loud to some people who get it, please do. This is that moment for you all to just light it up, share away. I see, Elizabeth, that you said, I just wrote down, I forgive myself for not liking. I'm wondering if you're still typing, because I didn't get the end of that. Let me see if I scroll down, if I can see the whole part. Oh, I see it. For not liking everything that my mom has made or given me. I often do, but when I don't, I get heavy guilt. Yes. And then the very things that she gave you for them to be a gift to you can be a burden to you. Jeanette saying, good for you, Jerry. Yes, no little red hen. Encouragement from somebody who really believes in enrolling your kids in this. Jeanette is the one. Like, she is amazing at getting the kids to be a part of the team. And as a team, we're going to all move forward. Donita says, I have a china cabinet buffet full of china my mother gave me, but I never use it. Wow the family some time and use that china. Okay, Jeanette, we're on the same page. I was going to say, use the china. Wow the family. Photos of your kids using it is better than complete set that's never used. So what if it isn't complete and gets broken? Hello, we go right back to my whole Corel discussion from last month. So I get that. Whoa, this thing is moving. Okay, I'm going to try to keep up with you guys. You all are really going. Let's see. Currently, I'm ashamed to say that I'm using the close the door approach, and I never thought I'd be that kind of homemaker, wife, mother. Susan, be encouraged. We all go through seasons where we have moments where we're like, just not now, and that is so okay. The key is we don't want you to stay there. God doesn't want you to stay there. But if you have seasons where it's I'm not going to deal with this right now. And it doesn't even have to be super deep. It's just it has gotten out of control, and I just would like to just move on. Thank you very much. I'll come back to it later. We get that. Could so relate to that. Jeanette saying, do you have a daughter? You can pack it up. Jeanette, go for it, girl. Donna is saying, amen, I forgive myself for not being organized, not meeting expectations to others. Forgive my passing on my habits to my daughter. I release the it'll do spirit. It go, honey. Yes, that is good stuff. Donita and Jeanette are going. They're good. Elizabeth says, has anyone been able to create habits of being tidy with stuff that isn't just clutter, but stuff you do actually need, but you can't keep it in place? We just seem to have problems putting stuff where it goes. Okay, I'm going to come back to that question. Let's see. Carmel is saying, for my daughter's 4, I have a bargain of getting rid of clutter. For every 10 things you let go of, I put $10 in the shopping budget. What? Okay, ma'am, I want to get on that list as well, because I can find 10 things, and I would love $10 to go in my shopping budget. But I'm just saying, I'm loving it. If it works, work it. So, Elizabeth, creating habits of being tidy with stuff that isn't just clutter, but you need to keep it. Okay. I love having a label maker and making labels for where things actually belong. And that is really helpful if not just mama knows where things belong, but everybody else knows where things belong as well. And that really helps them to help you, because I'm sure it's not just you pulling that stuff out to use it. It's everybody pulling this stuff out. And so if you've been really clear with them, not just saying, hey, put this back where it belongs, but being really clear about where belongs is, what that definition of that space is, then they can get on board and help you. And they can help put back the messes that they're helping to create. And so labels are a great thing. Everything having a place, having a whole lot less stuff to put away helps to keep it away. One other thing that's foundational to our family, and I'm not saying everybody has to do it, but we choose to live in a smaller home than most people would think for a family of 9. And we do that because it keeps us accountable to only have so many things and no more. The bigger the house, the more closets, the more space, the more stuff. So by staying in this place, there's many reasons we've chosen to do that, but one of them is it just keeps the stuff monster in check. It's just at some point there's just nowhere else to put stuff, so it's time for us to go through things and get rid of those things that no longer serve us and release them. Let them go. Set them free. So those are my 3 things. Label maker, be very clear with the family on where stuff belongs, and don't be afraid to have and own and keep less and less stuff. Let's see. Did anyone else put a question in here? I want to make sure I get it. Do you mean close the door to the house? No one over. Together, they bought new comforter sets. Very nice. Very nice. Does impact my desire to have others over, though, which is really irksome, not who the Lord desires for me to be. I see need to hear all of this now since we are about to put our house on the market, and it seems insurmountable. I have tons of, oh boy, I have to scroll down, curriculum. Oh boy, we know about that, all the curriculum mamas in the room. We get that. We used to have clean house marathons. Notice I said we. Yes, there you go. One door closed, in my opinion, is better than barking and being upset about an entire house. Yes, and let me say, just speaking to that, have people over, even if the house is not perfect. Let's all not have perfect houses and have people over anyway. I'm not saying that they have to step in over your child's dirty underwear. I'm not saying it has to be nasty, but it doesn't have to be magazine cover clean either. It doesn't have to be fresh Saturday morning or whatever your time is that you clean either. Just have people over and show them the real of who you are. And say, you know what, it's presentable. Come on in. Here's the truth. We live here. Welcome to it. We're glad you're here. Because soapbox moment, I'm going to try to wrap this up. Well, you all got me on a roll tonight. But I have this thing where we can adopt the worldview that says we're supposed to bring people over and entertain them. And entertain means you put your best foot forward, you have neat and exciting things to do that make people go, wow, and ooh, meaning you have a man cave. I don't know where we came up with that concept, and big screen TV, and you have special rooms just that are called entertaining when the realtor is showing you homes, and they say this is a room for entertaining. But God's view is that we have hospitality Yes, Elizabeth, you're so with me. Hospitality, that means you open up your home and you say, come into my world. Come into my most special and sacred space where I feel the safest and most relaxed and most like myself. Come on in. I want to have you enter into that space. So if the house is not just right, that's cool. Have people over anyway. That is my encouragement. Don't let that stop you from building relationships and connecting with people, because that's what we all really want. Is we want to connect with you anyway, not your special room and not your stuff. We want to connect with you. Okay. I think the rest is you all answering one another's questions, which is awesome. If I missed something, you guys might have to catch me up on that, because I am getting lost in this chat box tonight, and I love it. Please don't hear that as a complaint. I love that you are connecting with one another. So let me see. It's amazing how quickly we can pick up the clutter when we're having company over. Yes. Okay, so Tracy, I must speak to that. If you want to keep your house presentable, I won't even go to clean, because everybody might have a different definition of what that means, and it might take them out of this moment again. But presentable, have people over regularly. The more often you have people over, the more likely you are to keep your house in a way that you won't just absolutely melt into a puddle and at the thought of someone at your door. So have people over. Get it on the calendar. Every Sunday we have people coming over for dinner, or every Friday night people are coming over for movies and whatnot. Like, keep people coming over, and your house will stay a whole lot tidier, and it will be an amazing growth for you in relationships and connection with other people. So I love that you said that. Hey, speaking of underwear, I was so inspired last month. Hello, honey. Somebody went from practical to pretty up in here. I'm loving it. I love it. She got her some new undies. Having a fellowship at my home twice a month inspires all hands on deck to keep the floor clean. I love it. Yes. Oh, and you guys have that's from The Nester, a book recommendation, The Nesting Place by Michael and Smith. So with that, my last point to you all, ladies, is just let us be a model for our children. If we need something to really inspire us to do this, let us look into their eyes and then look around at how we are handling the daily decisions or the delayed decisions that amount to clutter. How are we modeling that for them? And then ask ourselves if we can do better. And if we can, may we have the courage to do so. May we look at them and know that we want to model healthy relationships to stuff, healthy relationships to decision making, willingness to deal with the emotional attachment that we can make to stuff, and model for them how to walk through that so that they don't create anxiety around letting things go, that they have a better appreciation for the things they do have, that they understand that each and everything that they have in their life is a gift and it's precious. And some of those things that are no longer serving them and no longer cause them to feel good about it, that they can release it. Because more than likely, especially in America, those things could be used by someone else. Or maybe they've served their time and their season in our lives. So I want to close with this scripture that I want to turn into a prayer for each and every one of you. And it's in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 12 and 13, which is the love chapter. And then I want to say to you, Carmela and Kathy and Donita and Donna and Elizabeth and Heidi and all the other names that I can't say right now, you don't yet see things clearly. And you're squinting in a fog and you're peering through a mist. But it won't be long before the weather clears and the sun shines bright. Sounds like spring to me. You'll see it all then, and you'll see it as clearly as God sees you, knowing him directly just as he knows you. But for right now, Until that completeness, we have 3 things to do to lead you toward that consummation. And that is for you to trust steadily in God, hope unswervingly, and love extravagantly. And the best of the 3 of these is love. That is my prayer over each one of you. I love you. I'm so glad that you came. I'm glad we had this time. Yes, if there's someone who's like, okay, don't play. When are we doing this again? We'll be back here, same date next month. Tuesday, March the 24th. Your calendar. Tell your friends. We'll be here again, 8 o'clock Central. And I see there's a couple of questions. Okay, let's see. Donita's asking, what were the 3 things again, Susan? I just need the 3rd one. What were the 3 things? Now I'm trying to remember. Are we talking about when we were cleaning up? Are we talking about the label maker, that moment? I'm not sure, Donita. I'll see to answer it for you, but I'm not thinking of what it is at this time. Oh, somebody's going out bra shopping. Ladies, y'all are doing it. Let's see. Just 1 room a month. I have a friend who cleaned 1 room a day, only focused on that room. I like the idea of 1 room a day and week a month. Just need to make that more of a priority and follow through. Yes. And Susan, the more you continue to answer that question, who do you need to forgive and what do you need to release? I think that as you make those strides with that heart work, that dealing with that other stuff, it'll come. Because see, what do you think it would look like if the more you offer forgiveness to yourself and the more you forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made? Maybe delaying too long in creating this pile. Maybe it's as simple as that. If you forgive yourself instead of beating yourself up and feeling guilty about it each time, imagine how much more you would feel released to go in and clean it up, if even for 5 or 10 minutes. You say, well, you know what? Thing of the past, Susan. It's all good. You didn't do it yesterday. Today, we got 10 minutes. Let's go in. Let's get this done, girl. We got it. Just talk to yourself and encourage yourself. See, I schedule appointments at consignment stores, and then I know I have a deadline. Oh, that's good, Elizabeth. Nice. Oh, that was your focus verse for worship this morning. Isn't God good? Wow. Wow. Well, ladies, like I said, if I missed something, you all have my email address. Please do email me. If you're attached or connected to me and you've liked my Facebook page, be on the lookout this week because you're going to see some images straight out of the C household. And, they're not cleaned up, beautiful shots like you would find on the nesting place. Like there's just no, this is real deal. What does it look like when 4 little girls live in a room together and I go in to help one get dressed one morning, and I'll show you the pictures of what I discovered and the work that we're doing and the cleaning up that we're doing. And it's because I've done a lot of hard work, spent a lot of time with God, that I can go in there and freely get rid of that stuff and not feel anything other than released and free and fresh, just like spring represents. So, ladies, until the next time, enjoy. Hope you picked up some great tips from one another. Be sure to continue that conversation. When I post the replay, post your takeaways, post your tips, post things about the timer and the label maker. If you got a favorite label maker, let the other moms know. Share away. If you know a friend that would be encouraged by this message, please do. Feel free to share it with them. And until next month, you ladies have a fantastic, fantastic time with this. Love you, Eat. Talk to you soon. Bye.